Hi, this is Elise Furbush.
Abby Fiedler.
Meehan.
Today we're here with
Kelly Petralia.
And Cerniglia.
We're here to continue our conversation about Westborough Connects and specifically Unplugged Week. So, Ms. Petralia, what are the dates that Unplugged Week starts?
It starts this Sunday, May 5th, and it goes till next Saturday, May 11th.
And do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, sure. So it's an annual event. This is the 5th year we're doing it. And it's really just an opportunity. It's part of a National Screen Free Week, actually. And so we do this local adaptation. And it's just an opportunity to, like, take a break from our phones when we don't need to be on them for, like, you know, work or school or anything like that, and kind of tune into our personal relationships, our in-person relationships, and also the things around us in the community, like the trails and different activities that are, you know, just everywhere. So it's just an opportunity to do that together.
Yeah. And then we also try to challenge people as part of that week to give up some screen-free activities and then let us know what you're doing instead. And then we offer prizes and stuff kind of as a little incentive to get you going to do that. And then we always produce a resource guide for people. It's kind of suggested activities and then some tips onto how to balance your life a little bit more and some resources that we found throughout the year that we have found helpful.
Yeah, I would say the ultimate impact, like the ultimate goal is for people to kind of think about how can they maybe make some changes, because we know a lot of people, all ages, struggle with the way that screens can dominate our lives. And so I think the ultimate goal is that maybe it's an opportunity to think about, learn some skills, learn some new opportunities to do something else or do something different.
Yeah, that's all very good things. I think we definitely all need to take a break from our phones sometimes. So I know you guys had some questions for us as teenagers who have phones and are on them quite a bit. Mm-hmm. So do you want to ask some of those questions?
Yeah, I mean, we started to get into a really good conversation the other day when we were at Red Barn, and I guess, you know, what's really what I'm really interested in is, now that you guys are older, you're almost adults. Are you guys 18 yet? Who's 18?
I'm 18.
You're 18, yeah. I mean, you're on the other side of your teen years, and I'm curious whether you feel differently about your screens and how, social media and things, how that impacts your life, and have you seen an impact, and do you try to do something different now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that especially our generation, screens are very, very dominant. I don't remember the last time I went out with someone or we hung out and we weren't looking at our phones the whole time. And I think, for example, my lacrosse team, they take the phones on the bus and then we don't have our phones for probably 4 hours. And I think it's really nice and it feels almost refreshing when we don't have our phones. And I think it's just something we don't see that often anymore.
Yeah. When your coach first said to you, we're going to take the phones, what was the reaction, you think, overall?
Oh, everyone was mad about it. And people still get upset about it because they try to argue it's my property and but I think we've all kind of grown to learn that it's better for us. And then we're able to talk to people and play games on the bus. We had a rock, paper, scissors, shoot contest tournament the other day on the bus, which is something you would never do if we were all just looking at our phones.
Yeah.
Do you think it helps your team in games and stuff too?
Focus?
Yeah.
Because the whole point she takes them is so we're not distracted before the game, or we don't find out some news on our phones before the game, because that news won't change whether we play the game or not. So that's the way she puts it. So I think that it's a really good thing she does.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Definitely can help you focus.
I feel like this year too, I've noticed, especially since Kira and I are running the Instagram for Lobby Observer and all the social media, there's obviously good parts of using your phones and stuff too. It's been a lot much easier to reach out to people over social media for Lobby Observer specifically. And also I was thinking about for finding college roommates and stuff too. Everyone does it over Instagram now, which is just really interesting. But also people were able to do those things before they had phones. So I don't know. I was just thinking about it, and a lot of time people are oh, well, there's so much good stuff that comes out of them, but also people survived for a really long time without having them.
That's the thing. There are a lot of benefits, right? It does connect you with people you haven't met before. It helps with advertising things and for getting the word out. But then there are also the negative impacts, and it's like they're not going anywhere. It's not like phones are, we're not going backwards, but what do we do to kind of be more healthy about it, or, balance, I guess.
Definitely. I was going to say that, I think that it's really important to, use social media and use your phone the correct way. And with, younger kids getting, social media and stuff, that's not going to happen. They can't use it in, the good ways. You can only have the benefits of social media if you're allowing yourself to. So it's, I think it's a hard thing of when to give kids social media, when to give kids phones, because there's you can use it for communication, or you can use it for not so great things. And I feel younger kids don't really know that has to be a balance.
Or developmentally ready to make those choices, or make the this is true, this isn't true, or how is it, even seeing someone else's perspective of how this is going to make somebody else feel if I write this or say this. Or
Definitely.
Yeah. And they're designed to, the platforms themselves are designed to keep you in, so they don't, also for kids and even adults, taking a step away, it's just that endless scroll. You can watch TikTok, for hours and hours, so there's nothing signaling you to get off. So you mentioned about younger kids. I'm curious, how old would you guys, if a younger sister, if you had, well, you have a younger sister, but she's not that much younger, but if you had your own child now or anything, when would you give your kid a smartphone, and when would you give them social media? Would there be a difference?
I feel it really depends on the circumstances. When I was in 6th grade, I got a phone, but that was because I would be home alone for 20 to 30 minutes after I got off the bus before my mom got home from work. So it was that was for communication, but I didn't have social media until end of 7th grade. I think I got Snapchat end of 8th grade or something like that. So I feel now if I had a kid, I would wait a lot longer now. I would give them a phone probably around 7th, 8th grade, but limit it, and there would be no social media, just because social media has changed so much. We didn't really have TikTok. We had Musical.ly, which was so different.
It's not the same at all.
Not the same. It was just not the stuff that you can see on TikTok. So I think I would wait a lot longer now. I think it's changed a lot negatively.
And we were talking the other day about how what I watch on TikTok are the same videos that someone 6 years younger than me is watching on TikTok, but it's all catered to, I think it's catered to an older audience, but then these younger kids are trying to act like these 20-year-olds
that's really scary,
whose
that kids
jobs
are doing that.
are TikTok.
Yeah.
And that I would definitely wait a lot longer. I'd say high school, later years of high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel there's a big difference between giving your kid a phone and letting them get social media too, because I got a phone when I was in 6th grade, but it couldn't I don't even think I had cellular data on it, so I could only use it at home pretty much, which I think was okay. I don't know. It wasn't I wasn't as addicted to my phone, I don't think, until I got social media, which was at the end of 8th grade. But I don't know. I feel kind of what Kira was saying, I would get my kid a phone maybe middle schoolish, but I probably would hold off on social media until end of middle school, beginning of high school, just because it's just so bad for kids, I feel to get at that age.
I think it also depends on what social media they're getting, because it's some kinds of social media are so much easier to control and limit than other kinds. Like Snapchat is probably would wait longer on that than anything else, I feel and even TikTok too, because it's TikTok, Abby said, shows me stuff that it also shows kids who are in 5th grade.
And are you
that's
sometimes
crazy.
even as an almost 18-year-old I don't need to be seeing this?
Yeah,
things come across
yeah,
and
and
why am I
definitely,
being shown this?
Like kids that I assistant teach at dance, they'll come up to me and be like, "Did you see this on TikTok?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I did, but you shouldn't be. You're in 5th grade.
Yeah.
You're in 4th grade. You shouldn't be seeing that." And it's it's so weird because the things that they'll say, it's yeah, I know that from TikTok, but it's uncomfortable because it just feels weird. Like, they shouldn't be seeing any of that. I don't know.
And why Snapchat? How come you said?
Because I feel like Snapchat is, like, just super hard to
There's no way to
control. Like,
control it 'cause everything
there's just no
deletes.
way. Everything deletes, but, like, there's also, like, ways to, like, save everything. Like, nothing actually
People say,
really
like,
deletes.
People are, I feel like, so much more comfortable saying mean things on Snapchat
Yeah.
just because it deletes. Like, I feel like if you were texting someone, people wouldn't say half the things that they say over
Yeah.
Snap just because it feels, like, less permanent.
Yeah.
And there's, like, no way for parents to, like, monitor it as much because they can't see
I think
Yeah.
it's
going on.
definitely a big, like, way for cyberbullying to happen and stuff like that. Because people think, like Elise said, people think things delete, but, like,
Yeah.
so it doesn't mean that you can say horrible things to someone on
It's
it.
the whole concept that you can hide behind a screen.
Yeah.
But if we were in person, would you really ever say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even if you're not saying it, like, directly to someone, like, people will talk about, like, other people or something over
Yeah.
Snapchat and say just, like, things that I feel like the same, like, they wouldn't say over text or definitely
Yeah.
not, like, in person even.
Yeah.
I was going to say, what's your opinion on, because I know some sports teams use Snapchat to kind of get their whole team on Snapchat as a way to communicate with each other rather than, I guess, an old-fashioned text chain. What do you
Yeah.
guys think about using those kind of platforms for teams and communication and kind of having kids coming into 9th grade being asked to get that app in order to be part of the team?
I don't
I
think
think-
it's necessary
no,
at all.
definitely.
I don't know why
not.
they actually don't just use a, like, group
Yeah.
text.
You could, like, there's just so many different apps you can use for that. Like, you can, if everyone has Snapchat, that means everyone has a phone. Everyone has a phone number, like, most
Yeah.
likely. So it's like, why don't you just use texting? And even if someone, like, doesn't have a phone or has a phone number, but they have, like, an iPad or something like that, like, you can get, like,
Yeah.
a million other different apps that people use for, like, work
Or, like,
group
stuff that you
chats.
use on a
Solely
computer.
Like, you would
communication.
never have a
It's not a
work
big
group
deal.
chat with, like, your boss, your managers on Snapchat.
That's a
Like,
good point.
Never. So it's like, why would a team have to do that? There's always, like, Facebook, too, that you can do groups on.
And teams, they're just kind of communicating, be at practice at this time,
Yeah.
like be for the bus at this time. I don't see the point of having to snap
No.
photos back and forth to communicate that point.
Yeah, definitely not.
I have a question, a little shifting gears a little bit. Have you, any of you, taken a break from your phone before? Like, said, I need to kind of put this aside, and like, what were some of the challenges if you did?
We used to, so every time we would hang out with, like, Camden and Ryan and Lucas and Jack, we would always make a phone pile, I remember. And it was kind of fun, like, when we would go out to dinner and stuff, like, we would always, everyone would, like, stack up their phones, which was fun because I feel like everyone was more, like, present. And because it's so annoying when you're, like, hanging out with someone and they're just, like, texting on their phone the whole time. I feel like
Yeah.
that kind of drives me crazy. So that was always fun, I remember, when we would do that. And then also, whenever I'm, like, on vacation, I try to, like, not bring my phone to the beach and stuff because you don't even really get service there anyway. So I feel like it's so much, like, when you're not, like, thinking about your phone after a while, you kind of just, like, forget about it and don't, like, even think about checking it until you get back, like, home or wherever. So those are 2 times when I would, like, usually try to take a break.
When I'm doing homework sometimes, like if I'm writing an essay, I try to leave my phone downstairs and then I go upstairs and do it. And sometimes, because I just get so bored writing the essay, I just want to look at my phone.
Yeah.
But then when it's not as close to me as just in my pocket, I am, like, less likely to go get it.
Yeah, I definitely need to, like, try to take breaks from my phone more, but, like, I don't think I've ever taken a break, like, on purpose, really, but, like, I know that at dance over the summer we have an intensive, and it's, like, hours during the day that, like, we're just dancing the whole day, and I know that my screen time is always, like, nothing that week, like, because there's just no time to be on your phone, and it's, I always feel so good after it, because I'm like, I don't even know what's happening on Instagram right now, but, like, I don't even care, like, it's just, it's good, it's definitely, like, I feel refreshed after it, so.
That's, like,
yeah.
similar to ASP. When we go on ASP, we can't look at our phones the whole time because we're working on a house, like, 9 hours a day, and there's also no service, and it's just a very refreshing week. And
You
I
feel that? You
yeah.
feel that
Yes.
refreshing?
everyone
bit?
like
Yeah.
comes out of the week feeling like a better person and feeling like cleansed, and I think it's not like a step away from reality because I feel like reality should not be on a screen, but like now it is.
Yeah.
And it feels like I think when you go on vacation or you go on a trip like ASP, like, I don't think your hometown should be so prominent, but it is because of the phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you're supposed to be like going to those places, kind of like step away from everyone and everything that's like going on in Westborough or wherever. But then, if you're just on your phone the whole time, it's not really that different.
Yeah.
Like you're still there basically.
It also like helps you connect with people. Like I know after that week at dance that we all become like closer, and we've had so many like conversations, and like we get to have lunch together, and like no one's really on their phone because we're all just like we're so tired, first of all, so like none of us like can do anything, like we're just sitting there, but we're all like talking still, and we're still like connecting. And I feel like I learned the most about my teammates like during that week of like basically no phones.
Cool. So I'm a parent, right? And a lot of our conversations are around smartphones and or phones. And actually, my youngest doesn't have a phone. Amelia doesn't have a phone yet. She's in 6th grade. And a lot of what the solutions that people are trying to come up with and everything are really kind of coming from adults. And you guys are the up and coming adults now, and you've lived it. Like, I didn't live what you're living through, right? The way that smartphones are used in social media. What are your thoughts around like what could be done to make some changes, or I don't know, what would you see as some ways to get around challenges to like having it on you all the time? Like you talked about, like news happens, like I'm sure it happens in the middle of the day, all of a sudden something happens and everybody gets the snap or the word or whatever, and you don't want to be the one missing out and all that. I'm just curious, like what are your thoughts around how to have more of those in person where you're not the only one who's wanting to connect in person?
Well, I think a lot of the issue comes from the platforms itself, because that's what they're trying to do. There's people whose jobs it is to make it so there's more viewership. Like my mom works in marketing, and she tells me like the whole point of her job is to increase like people that view the site and stuff. So I think, like, I don't really know how this would be done, but the companies themselves need to realize like people's lives are like money, which is like a big thing. I think it's like the right to property because they're allowed to do that, but then it's also like the right to life. And it's like I think these phones are taking so much away from people's lives. And I think that's like where the issue's coming from at first.
Yeah, that's a good point, Abby. I agree with Abby, like, and also I think it's on the people that are using like the apps too, like to kind of recognize that like it's so easy to just get like caught up if you're like scrolling on TikTok or something, and like I don't know, I think they try to do things to like monitor, like to make you able to monitor like the time limit. Like,
it's like
but
silencing.
then you
can
just
turn
make
it
your own
off.
password for it, so you just
and you can just completely turn it off, like or
yeah,
like
so
stop
I don't know.
scrolling.
I mean, I think it's like a hard thing to do, but I think you just have to recognize that like the first few like weeks or days or something of trying to like get off your phone are probably going to be harder, but then like after you get used to it, like you'll realize that you kind of can step away from your phone and don't have to be looking at it all the time.
One thing that my parents like to do is do the parental control, the screen time lock, so I don't know the password. And they still do it on me and all my siblings.
I do it too.
They think that we're on our phone too much, they'll put on the screen time. And I get annoyed by it, but then I can't actually go on my phone. And it's just a way to like force me off of it. So when I need to do homework, if that setting's on, I can't look at my phone.
Yeah, my parents don't really do that. Like, my mom doesn't really know how to put it on, so I feel like it would be really good, though, if that happened to me. Like, I would definitely be more productive. So, I don't really know what, like, a solution would be. I feel like it's a really hard thing. Like, you can't control what other people do and, like, whether or not other parents give their kids phones and when they give it to them and if their kid has social media. It's just, like, you can kind of only control what you do. So, and it's hard when it comes to screens because they're like an addiction. Like it's so hard to get off your phone when you're on it. So, I don't know what a solution would be.
I think you made a
yourself
good point
Yeah.
the other day at Red Barn. I think if you turn the colors off of your phone,
The
that's a
grayscale.
good one.
like I think the grayscale would really work. I don't think that I would see a notification and instantly want to hit it as much.
Yeah,
or
that's
even
a
just
big one,
turning
too.
off the notifications.
Yeah.
That's something.
They say that
too.
it takes like 20-something minutes to get refocused on something once you're distracted.
Mhm.
So like if you're working on something and your phone dings and you look at it, it's going to take you about 20 minutes to really get back into the task that you're
Yeah,
doing, which
that
is like
makes
so much
sense.
time.
Yeah.
That's so much like lost time. Like if you like if you play a sport or something, you're trying to get your homework done in like a 30-minute period and then you're distracted. That's crazy.
It's 9:50, so we do have to like start to wrap things up, and maybe we can
Okay.
finish
Can I
up
ask
with-
one more
Yeah.
question? So there's a recent book that was out called Anxious Generation, and it talks about the great rewiring of childhood, basically that for the past 30 years, so predating social media, but that childhood is moved from like a play-based childhood where kids would go out for the day and then they'd come home for dinner and whatever, to more of a phone-based. So we've taken away kids' independence and responsibility in a lot of ways and kind of overprotected them in that offline world. And what has come in its place has been underprotection in the online world, so that they get their smartphones, becomes almost a phone-based childhood, and we don't know what's going on there. So we talked about a little bit about how Snapchat, just don't even know TikTok. And the real like opportunity costs around that. So like, what does it cost you? It costs you your time because you still only have 24 hours a day. And if you're spending 6 hours on your phone, you still only have 24 hours. But the other piece of it is there are mental health impacts that a lot of research is coming back and saying like, this is actually leading to really poor mental health, particularly among youth. And I just wonder like, do you see that? Do you see mental health impacts because of social media?
I definitely do. I feel like the stuff that gets like pushed out to kids now is not like a lot of it is people like talking about mental health struggles, but also like I think that's one good thing is that people like are more open about it and they'll like talk about it online, which I guess is a good thing to like advocate about. But also like I think just it's so much easier to like compare yourself to people. It's so much easier to like look at someone's like Instagram feed or something and be like, oh, my like life isn't like that or whatever. But like I think you just have to keep in mind that like they're obviously only going to post like good things on social media. Like you wouldn't post like your whole entire life. So but I think definitely for kids that don't like that have like grown up with that, they don't almost realize it as much because first of all they're younger, but also like I think it's just a hard thing to like wrap your head around if they're like so used to everything being online.
Yeah, I also think it can lead to like kids kind of like self-diagnosing themselves with like things they like don't have or maybe do, but like aren't very educated about. Like it's a great like you said, Elise, like it's a great thing that people can talk about their like mental health on social media and like spread awareness. But I think it can lead to a lot of self-diagnosing of like younger kids who are like, oh well, this person says they have anxiety, like so do I. And it's like, well, maybe you do, but also like you can't just take what everyone says on social media and just go with it. And
Miss Stoker made us watch a documentary last year. I don't remember if you guys
But
but it was
called?
I don't remember what it was
like
called.
like a Chronicle episode or something.
Yes.
Like,
Or 60 Minutes.
yeah,
maybe.
60
And
minutes.
it was about how like TikTok was being sued, I think, because they were pushing out things that like increased depression because there's all these videos of people talking about how they're so depressed or and it's giving people ideas that otherwise they wouldn't have had because the company isn't monitoring all these people saying about how depressed they are and stuff like that. These sites are just pushing out ideas that people otherwise wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
Like Kira was saying, people self-diagnose themselves with things because they see all these people on social media saying that they have it,
which is
saying that their life is terrible.
which
We
is
watched
really
the
not
thing, too,
healthy.
about, like,
No.
it was like a girl who
Yeah,
like
it
her
was that.
parents I was like I remember
It was that
her parents
documentary.
like sued TikTok because like,
the girl
daughter-
she ended up committing suicide, but she found out how to do it on
like,
TikTok.
on TikTok
Yeah.
it's like a video about
Which
it.
is pretty crazy.
Scary.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes when you're on TikTok and you're scrolling, like you're not thinking about that. You're not
We can
thinking
try to
about-
find the Chronicle episode.
Yeah.
That would be great.
like,
But it was really
it's pretty
eye-opening.
crazy.
Especially if you're searching for that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
That becomes all that you see, right? The
And it's so
curated,
once
easy
you
to
look at it
find
once it will
it.
keep like
Sending.
pushing it out to
Like
you.
anything you want to find on TikTok, you can find
Yeah.
just
pretty much anything.
anything,
Mm-hmm.
which is really
And
crazy.
if it's not on TikTok, then you just
You
go
can find
into
it
Google
somewhere
and
else.
look it up, and it'll probably be there.
And the younger you are, the less kind of defenses you have
Yeah.
to understand,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
what's reality. And
Or like even on TikTok now, like if someone makes a video like about their mental health or something like that, at the bottom there's like a little search thing that will come up with a commonly like asked question. So depending on what that says, like if a kid sees it and like clicks on it, it comes up with like a million other videos
And they
just
might
Just
on
down an
it.
internet
thought of
spiral.
something like that.
Yeah, and so it's like you
'Cause then
don't
the next
even
video has
you
one
don't
too,
even
you
have
should
to be
go in.
searching for anything anymore.
Yeah.
Like no matter what,
kind
like
of
kids-
serves it to you.
yeah, they literally give it to you, and it's like click on this.
It's scary.
Yeah, it's just pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, do you have any like specific ways that if people want to get involved with Westborough Connects and Unplugged Week, like how they can get into that?
Sure. Well, ironically, you can go on our website.
Which is a,
We do know
Use your
that
computer.
right.
Not your
you
phone.
need
We do need it sometimes,
phones and
but if you go on our
computers,
website, westboroughconnects.com.org.
.org.
.org. You should have done this part. You could get all the information. There are literally events all week for all ages. Some events are made for all ages to come together at one time.
Yeah, come
That's
to
probably
Booking
the-
It to Bay State if you can on Thursday. That's one that's really fun. Like we have this beautiful Bay State green, and you know during COVID, like kids that when you couldn't go anywhere, but you could get on your bike and go downtown.
Yeah,
I was
You could-
always
we-
there.
We did that.
We did that a lot.
Right, that was a lot of fun.
There's even a bike ride to kick off
Yeah,
the week
there's a
on
bike
Sunday
ride.
morning.
There's
We
the
could
library
break out the
is doing a
bikes.
ton of things. Yeah. And if you want to get involved, I mean, honestly, girls, we'd love you to get involved in anyone at the high school. We welcome volunteers. They're the way that things happen. Like you'll start to see lawn signs for Westborough Unplugs this weekend. Those are because volunteers are putting them all over town. So you could reach out. Anyone could reach out to us on that. But yeah, I just want to say thank you, girls. You're awesome. And like, I can't even, you blow me away with what you have shared. And you guys are going to be the ones who kind of help, make things a little bit different for the generations that follow. So thank you. And
Thank you.
Thank
yeah.
you.